wasn't mine.
We'll let it pass. Okay, Victor, do you want to, take roll?
Yes, I can do that.
You wanna
Bob
call
Dolan,
the meeting to order? Oh, I need to call the meeting to order.
Yes, please do.
I call the meeting to order and then Victor, please take roll.
Bob Dolan,
Here.
Dana Mulder,
Here.
Carol Leonard,
Here.
Kathy Macho,
Here,
Henry Kuzel,
Here.
and Molly Baker Beal.
Here.
Right, we do have a quorum. Everyone is in attendance.
Does anyone have any comments or corrections for the minutes from the October 17th meeting?
Could I just first say, welcome Kathy Macho. We are just
Thank you.
delighted to have you back on Tree Board. We've missed you a lot.
thank you.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Board communication, Victor, do we have?
I guess the only thing I would mention is that we had probably at a DDA meeting and a city council meeting, some residents were concerned about a couple trees that came down. The city took some trees down in front of the Shea Historical Museum, the new one that's right there on Main Street. And Lucas said monitor those trees after the ice storm, and a lot of branches had come down, and they were interfering with the electric lines, and he was worried that more branches would come, bigger branches would come down. So those came down. As those aren't the only trees that came down. We've taken down quite a few trees throughout the city after the ice storm. So
And as it clearly says in the vegetation management program, that the city has the right to move trees without.
yes,
So
and these ones were deemed as,
Yeah.
you know, generally, if it's a non-hazardous tree that we want to remove, we'll inform people. We'll go to tree board. If it's something that we think will be dangerous or hazardous, we just go ahead. And sometimes we call the arborist in, sometimes we just, depending on, you know, sometimes we call an arborist in just to be like, all right, well, we're not sure if this one's gonna die or if this one's gonna be dangerous. Can you look at it and see if it's disease or not? But if it's clearly obvious the branches are hanging and could interfere, we just take it down.
So all the trees that have gone in this year have gone in already. There's no more to be planted.
Correct. There was a
Okay.
couple that we wanted to, but just they weren't in stock, and it's kind of getting late right now.
Yeah, and so we could put these on our list for next year.
Oh, yeah, the location.
Boy, that left a big hole.
But no one's on Zoom, are they?
Sorry, yeah. I don't see anyone on Zoom.
Okay, so do we need the mics on?
No, I mean, you can if you want. I just do it because sometimes I take minutes.
It's
Oh,
recorded.
okay.
But yeah, Lucas did mention that he wants to put trees there, but they're a size appropriate for the utilities and the location. I said, one of them's by the intersection, and you don't want too large of trees that get too bushy, like too wide. And also there's an electric line, so we do intend to have trees planted back there, but
In front of Shay?
yes. And so we'll come back, but it's just those trees got too big and too unruly for the area.
Is there? I'm just asking. Is there a way to include somewhere, put a little post on the website? I'm not asking for a major big deal that says the city's gonna be cutting down damaged trees this month. Or is that, I
feel
mean,
like
I get
that's-
it,
I
that's
think
maybe
the-
overkill, but
I think it is because our guys trim from electric purposes, they trim branches, take down
all
trees.
the time.
They're doing it quite regularly,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I just,
Okay,
yeah, I wouldn't want to get us committed to that. And, you know, we don't do it sometimes, and people are like, oh, you didn't tell us, you know, you guys are used to, so I just think personally, I think that's gonna be overkill for our guys to do it.
Where you get 10,000 phone calls.
Yeah.
Where are they gonna be cutting? Are they gonna be cutting my trees? Why are they cutting my trees?
Yeah.
We can talk about it later, but you know, if we do a little tree canopy article on the vegetation management plan, we could put a blurb in about, you know, this has come up recently.
and maybe just a general statement in that says,
And there-
we
I
do
did
this
add one.
regularly.
Yeah.
Another communication is I did receive a request from an individual to trim trees on city-owned property on the bluff. As you might recall, last year, we went to council for the city to take over trimming and tree removal on city-owned property on the bluff, and that's kind of what we're doing here, we're preparing a plan. I looked back at that council meeting though, and the council didn't vote to remove or rescind that policy, so that policy is still valid, and we're also, we have an act, someone who's requesting to us to trim, but had council said work on a plan for the city to take over trimming. So my question is gonna be to council is. Can
Well,
that, is
or
that,
maybe we could propose that it be done on a trail basis like we're doing with the fence on public property. Maybe we could treat it as if it's,
well, that's the thing is the policy says they have the right to request it.
Yeah.
But we're still working on our draft. So my question is that policy that people can still individually request trimming, is that still in place while we work on this? Or did council intend to remove that policy while we work on this?
So you're gonna ask,
Yeah, I'm gonna ask that.
City
So I just, because not all of you were on board, but when we did it in 2024, the tree board went to council saying the city should take over trimming on its own property instead of being driven by private request. However, we haven't finished that. Tree board hasn't finished that yet, that plan yet. So just. Yeah, and that's what we're working on today. We have some of it, so. So I'm just letting you know that'll go, I don't know what council will say. I'm assuming they'll say keep on accepting it until we have a plan in place, but.
Okay.
where on the bluff is it?
It's between the intersection of State and M119 and Spring Street, so the the western section of East Bluff. So,
Oh,
At Tom Graham.
and it's,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of where. Just the parcel, there's that corner triangle wedge, and then it's the next section of bluff over. It's on city property though.
is this an appropriate time to ask? What is in that triangle? Is there a plan, what's the plan of what's to go in there? Was it, I thought I saw
Just me.
something about a
we
low,
talked about it at the last tree board meeting, but no decisions been made.
no decisions, okay. Just
We could
curious.
bring it up though under old business.
And that is what I have for communication, so.
And we have no public comment. So we'll move on to old business. First thing is the outline of the updated vegetation management policy. And Dana was kind enough to put this together, and I think it's really terrific. So thank you, first of all. And if you want to walk people through it,
Mhm.
I'd love to. Okay,
And let me start by saying,
Can I ask you a quick?
Yeah, of
question?
course.
No, I printed it because it says, I'm sorry, I'm being really picky. Management plan for trees. This refers to vegetation management.
so that was a
policy.
question.
I wasn't 100% sure if they were the
You
same
want to
thing.
just be a little more specific, like is vegetation just kind of this amorphous term?
Oh, so
I
you're saying, we're
I
saying
think
trees.
trees is clear, because I know when I
Yeah,
okay.
joined
Okay,
the tree board, I was confused as to what the vegetation management
right.
policy was
okay. So
exactly
we're-
until I read it, but it seemed to always
And the reason I think
drive trees.
it was called the vegetation management policy is because there wasn't just a problem with people trimming down trees at one point. There was a problem with
Yeah.
people just taking out all,
Shrubbery. Yeah.
anything that was on city property.
On the
So
bluff.
that's why they called it that. And there's also, there's, what, Molly probably could speak to this a little more, but what people think are bushes are actually trees, or what do people,
Mhm.
so it's like, people are confused that they go, oh, I'm cutting down a bush or a shrub. It's like, well, technically that's a tree, but they don't know, right?
Mhm.
So
So would it work to call it trees and vegetation?
I
Something
think,
We're just trying to make it less wordy, but
Yeah.
we could go back
I'm
to
just trying to make it
vegetation.
clearer.
I take your point.
I don't care as long as it's,
We just figured.
I think
We
if you
agree.
include vegetation, that will help prevent people from dropping over the side of the bluff and stripping all the honeysuckle and the stump sprouts from the box elder, which is what Victor probably is talking about, that are actually, honeysuckle is not a tree, but if we have something that says you can't just cut everything down.
Mhm.
So I think calling it vegetation might actually be helpful.
that is a good point, because even our city code says that you can't remove anything from city property without the city permission. So yes, like someone wants to trim grass in the right of way, that's fine. Like we don't get on this, but we want to be able to have people to know that we have the authority to tell them that they can't take down that bush on our property. Even if we think it's okay, we might be like, all right, that's fine, we don't care about it, but we want to be able to have something that people
That
are.
backup if you
Yeah,
do need to use it.
we do use it, and so that people are aware that,
Yeah.
yes, they can do it. It's just reinforcement that, remember, this is not your property, it's the public's properties.
So how do you like the name, 2025 management plan for trees and vegetation and city property?
Or can it just say trees/vegetation?
Well,
I don't care.
I think that would be one word, vegetation would be easier. I don't think.
And strike out trees?
You want to keep trees on there?
I think trees, yeah, like you might have if you wanted to
Yeah,
find out.
that's fine. You can put like trees and vegetation, that's
I
fine.
think if you're searching,
Yes,
it's
that's
easier.
fine with me.
Okay.
Will we? Will we inform the tree trimming company now that we don't live in Al and Jim world anymore? And there's a million tree guys here from as far away as Texas. Are we gonna send a copy of this to all those businesses who, I mean, like the guys from Texas? You call,
That's
they
an
come,
interesting
you
question.
say,
Yeah.
cut all that shit down in front of my house, and
Yeah,
they say,
homeowner
okay.
is-
How about if we save that discussion for after we've gone through this and kind of
Yeah,
get this tuned
yeah,
up,
but
but let's keep
Then,
that on
then I
our.
think we should inform the tree trimming companies of what's,
That should be legally the homeowner's responsibility.
yeah, but.
I'm just, the city then has something to say, this is the vegetation management policy, you've been made aware of this, yet you had this done. And
Yeah.
yes, recuperating something, getting something back from that is harder. But I remember being on sites where, well, this is my property line. Okay, but it's not because I just passed the pin. That's your property line, but I want you to cut that. My neighbor said it's okay.
Yeah,
Those are both good points, because in previous, when we've had people cut down trees on the bluff, for example, on the city-owned property, the bluff, we obviously learn about it because we see a contractor that's cutting, right? The first question we ask them is who authorized you, who you're doing this on behalf, because that's who we want to go after for penalty, is the person who authorized them to do it. However, there wasn't one instance where the contractor just said, I'll take the heat for the homeowner.
They won't.
Is
And
that
so-
the most recent one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to Bob's point, I think we did one several years ago, send out to some tree trimming companies that, hey, this is our policy, just so you're aware.
Mhm.
And Alan Jim's was one of them, and because, yeah, so I think what Molly's saying is right, it is a homeowner's responsibility, absolutely. But it doesn't hurt to let the tree, because they're the ones actually doing the trimming, that like, here's what our policy is, so.
So then when a homeowner comes in and says, here's my request, then you say, great, here's the information you
Yeah.
give to your company.
Yeah.
So then the city's not responsible for notifying every Tom, Dick and Harry with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
It
because
still,
that's true, though, that's a good point.
it still puts it back in the hands of the homeowner once they have asked permission to do that. I would be my,
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the
let's
key
see
is
if we-
whether or not they ask for permission, right? I mean, that's what we're trying to
Yeah.
avoid, I think, is that they don't ask first.
right.
Yeah.
And that just opens up a whole nother.
Well, Dan, if you want to walk us through.
Okay, so did we say then 2025 management plan for trees and vegetation?
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's see, just a couple of kind of macro things. Carol and I were messaging a bit this morning, and I'm like, oops, I didn't really compare this to the old one. And so there's some really good stuff in the old one that I've added in my copy. So if we go through this, we can, I can highlight where that stuff is.
did you send
The packet this morning.
It was in
It was
Victor's
the packet that
packet.
I sent,
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
because I got something from you, and when I clicked on it,
oh, you sent a link to.
That was for another.
Yeah, yeah, I got it.
Discussion, yeah.
something happened.
I don't have an extra copy.
Oh, okay.
It's on the
She
screen.
sent this to us.
Yeah.
This one.
You gonna print it out for you, or?
No, it's okay.
She had it on this one.
Okay, and so it's good to have an introduction and a vision. I think we should also add a blurb in there about how this ties to the city master plan. 'Cause I think there's a few different things. Do we want to look at that now, or we just take that as a to-do list?
Let's make it to, it's the city master plan and the city tree plan.
Yep. Okay, and any comments about that beginning part? You want us to read it so you can,
No,
okay. Okay. Then
All right, and
objective,
then we're gonna change that, so the first sentence in the paragraph will have for trees and vegetation. Management plan for trees and
yes,
vegetation.
so let me see if I can do a search all and change all or something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right, then objectives, and this is all stuff that's in the tree plan. Background, and Molly, you probably go back further than this even, just when it was casual, then we had the policy in 2019. So just a little context, if anybody ever is interested, I guess we don't, strictly have to have history in there, but maybe it's good to have it.
We on the objectives or we went beyond objectives?
We're now on background.
Did anyone have questions about the objectives?
I don't think so. I've only read through them pretty quickly, but since I just realized.
Oh, you know
I'm
what,
on the
is there
tree board, I
anything
have a
about
meeting.
utilities on here?
I don't
Oh,
see any. I mean, you talk about the high health and safety of the public. I think that should be,
I
you could
think
also
that's-
include safety, protection, maintenance of the city's utilities and
safety
infrastructure.
of the public. I think that's,
Yeah, but we also want to emphasize the protection and maintenance of our infrastructure.
Yeah, and that sort of ties in with the next bullet point as well, with promoting the health of the urban forest throughout thoughtful planning for replacement trees.
Wait,
Yeah.
where are we? Are we under objectives?
Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna add the infrastructure.
To add something about the need for,
health and safety of the, could it be on that same line of the health and safety of the public by
I think it
proactively?
could also just be a separate line. Honestly, it could just make a
Where do
mention,
you see health and safety of the,
prioritize, it's for
Number
number
four.
three. Before,
Fourth one down?
prioritize the health and safety of the public.
now that's curious, because I don't have that in mind. Prioritize. Oh, you know what, Bill said, take out prioritize, but I like it, let's put it back in. Prioritize.
We all have it.
I know, I think that's important. Then add something about maintenance and protection of the city infrastructure.
Yeah.
That would encompass all buildings, utility lines, streets, sidewalks.
Okay, so you're gonna make it an extra line
Yeah,
item.
another bullet.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it deserves its own.
Okay.
Because that usually is where much of our conflict is,
Yeah.
like the big ones that we just removed.
Yeah.
And the ones on 119.
The big tall pine trees that were removed.
Okay, any others on the objectives?
No.
Okay, so back to background then, so this kind of goes through things, Molly, you can correct whatever needs correcting here, but do you guys think it's helpful to have a little bit of the history or just for context?
I think it could, but I think what you have here is not completely
I don't understand.
representative of what it was. So like the management of trees probably has evolved over the last like 40 years. I mean,
Okay,
a lot of the trimming happened on the bluff. That 1980s was a big, when I go through minutes in 1980s, there was big issues. And then, yes, the tree board was formalized in 2019, but vegetation management wasn't informal. I think we've had policy for like 30, 40 years. That policy has just evolved from like a 1 paragraph thing to this 3-4 page policy that we have.
okay, and I just understood it was the city manager went out and did a handshake, yeah, you can do this and this.
So
I walked that bluff and measured and cataloged every tree before we cut.
the
and that-
2000, yeah,
that was
2010,
Before 2019.
yes.
So
You're
how should we-
thinking probably 80s and 90s when there was started the creation of that policy is when
Yeah.
they first started creating that policy, when it was city, because the city code says the city manager is responsible for maintenance of this. So they didn't have a specific policy and it was up to the city manager, but 2000, the policy evolved, and then I think what Molly was here saying, probably late 2000s to early 2010s, they had a much more comprehensive policy in place. Surveys were done, and
And how many you can remove per,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
many trees there are and.
But what was formalized in 2019 was the tree board. It was a tree committee before that that would meet on as needed, and they didn't have an official bylaws, right?
And that's when we have our current version of the
Yes.
vegetation management.
Yes.
And I guess.
So how do we want to say this then? Go ahead.
I wasn't sure about, that's where I wasn't clear about the history, because part of the I think confusion lately has been the difference between city-owned trees and property that's not owned by the city.
And then how in the weeds do you want to get with that whole business?
Well,
where we
and
thought
see,
we
that's-
owned the bluff and then we didn't.
Well, that and just the whole question of, that came up not long ago about somebody cutting down trees, and was it their property or was it city property or was it somebody else's property? I mean, can we have, I just want it to be clear that we're talking about at all times city trees.
It says management of trees on city
On
property,
city
so I think I'm not,
I
yeah.
know it says that, but
So do we need the background?
I don't
so
think
how
we
much
do.
background do we need?
I think too much background and you get into the weeds. I think just a simple, for
It's
the last
evolved over-
40 years,
Yeah.
this has been a discussion topic. Here's where we are.
Right,
Yeah, I think that's fair
I think-
because,
I think that's a good.
Because otherwise people can argue, well, no, 20 years ago they said this.
Right,
It's
and
like,
why did
no,
you
we're-
change it?
Right,
And-
we're looking at what we're doing now.
Mhm.
Forget all of that.
Yeah, just
Start.
start new.
Dana?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
That's a
I'm
good
I'm
idea,
taking
Mama.
out the second sentence. And then we'll just say management of trees on city property has evolved over the past 40 years. Or how about
for the past several
discussion?
decades,
I like
yeah, several
the past
decades.
several decades would be.
Yeah, and then I would strike the rest on that sentence, I think, on that paragraph. I would just keep it very simple, really simple.
Yep,
I agree.
okay.
That's kind of what I'm thinking is.
Do we want to keep in the paragraph about the conflicts?
No. I would,
The more you say, the more people can create loopholes.
Exactly.
Grievances. Yeah. Okay, so we just go then straight to in May 2019.
Yeah, you can just say, yeah, just take out an attempt to formalize the process. You can say in May
Yeah.
2019, council
Yep.
approved an updated policy for vegetation management on city property.
Perfect.
And then you'll send this to us after you read.
Yeah.
You bet, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And then the rest of that paragraph,
yeah, I would strike. Since the implementation dissatisfied, I'd strike that too. Any other thoughts on that?
Where's it?
The last sentence.
Oh, oh.
At the bottom. of
it's just as a little context for why we're looking at it now. Leave it out.
I don't think
would-
you even need that. Anybody who's reading this knows why we need it.
Yeah, you can keep that in 2024, the tree pair.
Yeah,
Prepare to recommendation to the council, the vegetation management be handled more proactively. The city takeover, and everything. I think that's fine. That's that sense of why we have this.
Okay, and do we like the second sentence? Then I think that's okay. We have in May 2019, council passed an updated policy, blah, blah, blah. Policy dealt with routine maintenance of trees by city employees and with requests.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay,
I
it
think
set in
that
place procedures and criteria.
that's fine too. It's what
Okay.
Carol said since the implementation.
Okay, and then we'll leave the 2024.
yes.
Anything else on background? Just keep it simple. Okay. So I came up with this name that you guys don't know about yet. That's the 3-year tree assessment and maintenance program. So try adding that in place of what the next section title is.
Okay, so
So-
step one, first steps is what?
Let's see,
So you're gonna leave
what does
that,
yours say?
first steps assessment of existing tree resources and training.
That's out. Well, my proposal would be, okay. Here, let me-
You're working from a different document.
I
Yeah.
know, and I didn't have time to print it. So let me read you what I have in there now. The
Can
3
you
years,
send it to Victor? Could he put it on the screen?
Do you have it with you right now?
From your phone? Okay.
There's not that much that changed, in a lot of it. So the 3-year tree assessment and maintenance program.
So that's the
described-
headline.
No, well, the headline is the 3-year tree assessment and maintenance program. Then the first paragraph is the 3-year tree assessment and maintenance program described below is the cornerstone of the 2025 management plan for trees on city property. Then I think this was in there a number of years ago, the city began a detailed costly inventory.
That's in there.
Yep. Do we leave that in? That's a little bit of context.
Okay, so you changed the first part. We're not talking
Just adding
about,
that one sentence, yeah.
we're not talking about street trees, park trees, trees and natural, all that. It's in there.
That's later.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Yours for
Okay.
certain. Very good. Yeah, that city trees gets moved down. The first 2 paragraphs flip-flop is what happens.
Okay.
Yep. So we start out introducing this program. Then just a brief little why it's being recommended, then trees in 4 settings. Then industry practices. So this is just me on the internet every 3 years. And I think we talked about that, didn't we, Molly? 3 years
Yes,
is
yeah,
fair.
and dividing, yes, and dividing.
Yep,
city
and considering the number and spread of trees throughout the city is determined that dividing the city into 3 sectors, 1/3 of the city trees could be evaluated every 3 years on a rotating basis. Then the 3 things. Then that next one changes just a little bit and it says, assessments are intended to include but not be limited to identifying trees that belong in one of the 4 categories requiring action. Oh, that is what it is, okay. And that didn't change. And that didn't change.
So there's 4 categories: removal of dead hazardous declining trees.
Yep.
Pruning of trees with disease limbs, identify trees with evidence of pests, then identify location where new tree beds should be planted.
Is this all in here, just in a different order? I'm
Some of it's
slightly
yeah.
confused. Okay.
Yeah,
I did it.
Which is a new document.
Rightly confused.
I think because you bring up the detailed and costly inventory process, it should be mentioned what's been done with the inventory. Has it been updated? Because I know we revisited it. So where does it stand? The city invested all this money into having this done. The trees are all tagged that were there initially, and then the new ones were tagged. Then what? Are we still looking at it? Are we still?
No, it's been abandoned.
Okay, I think that should either be mentioned or it should be taken out.
I would take it out.
Because people are gonna say, well, if you invested all this money in it, why aren't you
Yeah,
using
I
it?
don't, I have a little different, I don't think it was abandoned per se, I just think council, what was written here says council. Decided, instead of doing a re-inventory, council decided to put more money to maintaining trees.
But we have trees numbered 1 through
Yes, we do.
1,500, so what's being done if there's something that's a 5? Is that inventory still being looked at as, oh my gosh, that was a 5, that's or a 1 or whatever, whichever way it goes, that's an imminent threat? Did we ignore that?
I
Or,
think it wasn't being used. That was,
Well, I think, not that it wasn't used, I don't think the council and the tree board wanted us to focus on the tree inventory. So.
because it wasn't just this is what we have, it
It's
was
the condition of
also
the trees, yeah.
the condition of the trees, which led to the removal of several trees. I know they used it for that to a degree, but then,
So, and this happened, so obviously you weren't on tree board, so I know when Ben came to talk about this a year and a half ago or 2, he said that, if we want to monitor and maintain the trees, well, we need to know the condition they're in, so we need to do a re-inventory revaluation of them, but council didn't want to spend the
massively
money.
expensive,
Yeah,
yeah.
council didn't want to spend the money on that, so I think that's what we're getting at here, so yes, we have that inventory. But with the arborist opinion was, these need to be reassessed, because it's been 10 years since we
Okay.
reassessed.
Okay, so basically it's expired,
It's expired basically.
okay,
So,
because that to me is, it's like, okay, we spent the money on this, and I know, because I typed in every single one. then what?
And we haven't.
Where is it?
and
But
we
if it's
haven't-
expired, that makes sense.
and
I
we
think.
haven't tagged new trees.
Right.
So,
So I think we should either take that out or say, at this point, the inventory has not been updated and has expired.
that's a good way of saying
If we
Do
mention it,
wanna
we
say
should say
that or
what's
just
happened
take
to
it
it.
out? People really need to know
it.
that.
Well, I think it'd be good to know that we did have an inventory,
Well, and I think people were gonna wanna know what the tags are for.
yeah, tags on all our
Okay.
trees.
Was it 10 years ago?
It was more than that.
It was probably like, there's two, it happened twice.
I think the first one was when Fred was still here.
Yes, it was in the 2000s, like early mid 2000s, and then it happened again in 2013 or 14.
Why don't we just say a number of years ago?
Yeah. You
Um,
don't need to have exact, but yes, it's,
city began a detailed and costly inventory process that has since expired.
it's fine.
Uh,
I would say instead of city began, you can say the city conducted. a
Yeah,
detailed
or
and
implemented. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
it began, because it
It
was
did,
concluded.
it was concluded, yeah.
It
And they
was
just-
concluded.
Yeah,
Not
so
every-
conduct,
Yeah, it was concluded for the trees that they wanted to do at that time, which were trees, it wasn't like Kiwanis Park, every single tree in the forest.
Every single street
No,
tree
he
has.
said-
For the trees that they intended at that time. They had a list of trees that they wanted. So it was, so for that tree inventory for what the council wanted then, that was concluded, and they re-inventoried those same exact trees. Or tagged their condition, but if you mean a detailed inventory of every single tree, no. But they did have an inventory that the council wanted to focus on that at that time.
Okay,
So I would just say, yeah, the city conducted a detailed and costly inventory process, and since then, that inventory is outdated and expired. You know, I think that's a fair statement. And then you
Um,
explain why, and that's council, you can say, instead of it was decided, that council decided.
Yeah.
Resources could be better put to use. Now you can blame it all on Kathy. Instead of. Instead of you guys.
okay. Got it. All right, then I think that was it on that section. And you guys, what do you think about the names of 3-year tree assessment and maintenance program?
I think it's very clear.
Yeah,
Okay. Then the next section is, sorry,
staff training.
training and development, and I don't think anything changed in there. Oh, I did like wherever it didn't say city owned. That's now in there, like city owned bluff properties, not just bluff properties, so that'll be in your revision.
And then, yeah, I don't know if those are word after, similar.
Oh.
Mine ended,
Yep, no, it still doesn't end.
On
Effective
the
staff
top of-
training will support success,
yeah,
safety,
effective
speaker, enhance
and enhanced.
ability to,
Do you see what I'm talking, it's part of the sentence drop off. On the very top of that page. Effective.
Oh, yeah.
Cities. And enhance cities.
What? Yeah,
I think when this goes further, there should be a standard to which the staff are trained. Just mentioned whether it's NCA 300, whatever it is, they're just trained. To me, that's very broad. Who's training them? What are they
Yeah,
trained for?
Very broad.
And it doesn't have to be figured out now, just.
at some point. Yeah, and then, how in-depth does it need to be if they come across something that is in-depth and the arborist is called or something?
Right, because then otherwise the city,
This may be more of a rudimentary training.
Well, I think that's the crux of it, right? At what cost benefit is it for all the city employees that work out there to know this level of detail versus calling an expert to do it? So that's.
Right.
So there should be I get what Miles said, there should be a basic minimum standard that maybe our employees who are involved in that standard.
Why don't we just say, a basic minimum standard will be established.
Let's do that for now, we can.
I think that's, if they, so we're anticipating that if there's employees then who are more interested or want training or something.
Well, we do have DPW employees that are their regular part of their job is to do some of the trimming. And we also have electric guys. Now we know the electric crew, they're trimming for different reasons. They're trimming
Right.
specific, so like to get them to follow those standards may not always be the case because sometimes they just gotta get it out of the
do what they
wire at the
gotta
most
do.
cost effective. But
They would know who the people are on staff
Yeah.
that know it and know how to prune and how
we
to
have like
trim.
two individuals or three individuals on DPW staff who regularly maintain trim trees and
Okay,
those are the ones who this would be gearing toward because they're the ones who are doing it.
Did you know Nate is an arborist?
I did know that, yeah, it slips my mind.
what?
The,
Part of it, guys.
Good,
yeah.
Yeah.
Is an arborist.
Oh, no.
because it's a lot to ask somebody to look at a tree and say, that's in great health, that's not in great health. Because you can't.
It's all right, like, that's why, Lucas, even though he's been here 28 years, he still has to refer to others. I mean, he understands things, but he's not an arborist, so it's like, it takes an arborist sometimes to really, get in the weeds of like, all right, this tree could survive, or this tree could survive if you do X, Y, and Z,
Why don't we also say then, and guidelines established for when professional help is needed?
that's your interim.
Hmm?
I just said that's your interim city manager out there
I
speaking.
know, I know.
Yeah, we're all familiar with that voice.
Okay, then the next section, I don't really think it helps that much to have action items in there, so I took that out. Yep,
Okay, so you took out
so
the
now it's just guidelines for
Oh.
tree removal.
Oh, so you're taking out the
Okay.
action item?
Just
No,
the
taking
words.
The word action.
Oh,
And this was one where I melded in some of the stuff from the old vegetation management one. So there's a paragraph and I'll just read it to you. This will be in the updated one. The 3-year tree assessment and maintenance program will be one means to identify those trees requiring removal. In the meantime, a property owner who believes that a tree located on city property is hazardous may notify the city manager, director of DPW with the location and description of the potentially hazardous tree. The city will then investigate the potentially hazardous tree and determine whether or not the tree is hazardous. It's like a tongue twister. Upon classifying a tree as hazardous, the city will proceed with scheduling the prompt removal of the tree. And then I don't know, Victor, I don't know why it says barring any financial, personnel, or other resource limitations. Do we really need that in there?
Yeah, well, because we want to say like, even if a tree is hazardous, what if we don't have the time or money to take it down? Because there's other priorities. I want people to
Yeah,
know that we'll do our best to remove hazardous trees,
Yeah.
because it's our obligation, but if we
Okay.
can't get to it, we can't get to it.
and then it says right here, the city may remove hazardous trees from city property without notice to the public.
oh, okay.
Yeah, and the-
Exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah. So it's kind of, that phrasing is kind of just to cover our CYA, cover our
Yeah.
thoughts of,
Was that already in here when,
it's in the current vegetation management policy that we have.
Yeah,
but I mean the.
It wasn't in this, no.
this is a new paragraph.
So it's,
Okay, but part of what Victor said, I want to make sure I got clear, was that if there's a hazardous tree, we're gonna try to remove it, but we can't promise we're gonna get to it right away, and I'm like, just off the top of my head, that sentence by itself sends up a red flag
Yeah.
for me. It's like, you can't, it's like, yeah, I get it, but,
How about we say to the best ability?
well,
I mean, I mean, hazard could be really bad or
but
not.
here's the thing, there's hazards, trees could be hazardous that we didn't plant there. So we are technically not liable if that tree comes down. So if we have to allocate our resources to all other different things going on and we can't get to that tree,
Are you talking about trees on city property?
there's a lot of
that the
trees on
didn't-
city, yeah, there's
That
a
the
lot of
city
trees.
didn't plant.
Yeah, there's a lot of old trees that the city didn't plant on.
Like up at Kiwanis, it's kind of sketchy sometimes to walk through there in a windstorm.
Those are
The
all,
city didn't plant those, but they're hazardous.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
yeah, there's also trees that are in the right of way that are actually, like, people think they're their yard. And those trees that could have been planted there 70 years ago, people thought, but it's actually in the city's right of way, the city never planted it. So what we want to try to avoid is accepting liability for a tree that falls down that wasn't a city planted tree, even though it's on city property.
Okay, but if it was 70 years ago, who knows whether.
There's no providence for the trees.
There is, I'm right, there isn't, but I mean,
So it's like, I guess that's why
well, you gotta think from a legal perspective, Kathy, as your counsel, if you're in the council, right? And someone comes up to you, that tree, the city knew that tree was hazardous, they didn't remove it. And then we're gonna say at a council level, you're right, you know, we're gonna accept liability for anything that happens. I think Jim Raymer will tell you absolutely not, you'll not accept any liability for anything that came down.
Like
Until the
the
insurance
Marks
company.
Park.
No, I understand, I
So
understand.
that's where we're coming at. It's legal
I'm just
protection.
wondering if we're going to, okay,
No, that's why I'm very, it's one of those. Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
okay, I'm not sure, I get it, it's okay, I'd rather wait to see it the rewritten.
Yeah,
Go
and
from there.
council may have a different idea of accepting responsibility too. Let's see, then you guys have the criteria for removing. And Molly, any additions, deletions?
For the tree removal.
The criteria,
No,
Where's that?
it was called action items, guidelines for tree removal.
Oh, sorry, it was a,
It's on page 7, yeah.
I got
I
it.
take full responsibility for the difficulty in following this conversation. Okay, so then we go to the next one and we take out action item and it becomes just guidelines for tree pruning and other maintenance I added in there. So that could include things like fertilizing or, treatment for pests. And then here's my new first paragraph on that one. The 3-year tree assessment and maintenance program is also intended to improve the city's ability to identify and correct problems early before they become bigger problems. However, in instances where vegetation to be managed on city property abuts private property and may interfere with the property owner's access or use of the property, city employees shall make reasonable efforts to notify the property owner of the type, extent, date of vegetation management. You can tell Victor wrote this one. And then, do you still think we need all that? That's a lot of words.
Let's
like it?
see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's do the
okay.
writing, yeah.
Yep, and then the last sentence here is the same thing. City may perform vegetation management on city property without notifying surrounding property owners. Yep. And then nothing changed in that list.
Okay, the only question I have there, the first one says prune the trees during their dormant, and that's late winter to early spring.
Yep,
And then on tree planting, it says the dormant is spring or fall. Is that accurate? Because one is
Um,
pruning, one's a new
I'll
plant.
defer to Molly.
don't know.
What would you like to put?
Do you understand my question there, Molly? One we refer to in tree pruning. we
Yeah.
Refer to the dormant being late winter to early spring.
I would say the dormant growing season
Oh my God.
For that one,
for that, because, yeah, especially with the concern for oak wilt. If the sap is flowing and you cut the tree, you attract the beetles that promote oak wilt.
Yeah.
So their dormant season is basically, yeah, after it freezes and before it thaws.
okay, and then,
But the growing season for planting a tree is different. You want the roots to take, but you don't want them to shoot the wrong signals up. So I think it's worded fine.
okay,
All right, good. Anything else, Molly, on that list?
The only thing I would do on 1, 2, 3, on our 4th bullet point, avoid topping trees,
Mhm.
is add that it increases the speed of upward growth.
Of what growth?
Increases upward, because people need to understand that if they top their trees, they're going to be in their view 3 times faster than they were the first time.
Because they're sending shoots up, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's good.
So, and increases, where do you want to put that? Weaken structure and put it in there
Yeah,
yeah, I would keep it in the same bullet,
and increases speed of regrowth. Just-
upward growth. I think that's key.
Let's see, so there's, and this is Molly again, engage certified arborists for major pruning or work near power lines or buildings. Do we want to put something in there about, or issues involving disease or pests?
I think that falls into the training part of the staff, because it says that they will engage an arborist when appropriate.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure our electric lineman guys will be on board with always engaging an arborist every time they gotta do work near.
Well, and you're not gonna find an arborist,
that's a
who's,
really good point.
you know, unless it's a utility certified arborist. I wouldn't, I mean,
For
I wouldn't work
example,
your power lines.
Yeah, our substation we're getting a new transmission line all the way from our current substation to our new, which is like 3 miles. And they're trimming all along that line. They're not gonna consult an arborist. Hey, it's just, they're trimming just to make sure everything's done. They have 80 feet, we have 80 feet on each side. And
80?
sorry, 40 feet from the center, so 80 total feet, easement.
You're going for it.
That's just a strip job. That's not a trim
Right.
or let's be gentle with
So
this.
you will
That's,
see some trees that are just, half of them are there, because they're fall out that,
yeah.
out that 80-foot easement, and other half are gone, so.
That was like the Dave Bluff trees, right? Those were kind of half trees.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I just want to caution, I don't want to commit our guys, electric guys to doing something that they can't do.
Well, and I don't think you should commit arborists to doing something that they can't do or won't do.
What they do is.
So what am I, I would,
Yeah,
so what do we say about that one then? Engage arborists for,
I would just say we don't, just strike that sentence.
Which sentence?
The last bullet point under
Oh,
guidelines
engage certified, okay.
for pruning or working with the power lines. I mean, talk about it for buildings, that could be a different story. I would just really take it out for the power lines part.
okay, ready to move on to guidelines for tree planting. We took out the, whatever it said, action item, yep. Then I added a paragraph that was from the old, vegetation management that reads, as trees have been removed over the years, there has not been a means to track where replacement trees are needed. The tree board, would be responsible for identifying and prioritizing those locations where new trees are needed using the Harbor Springs Street Tree Plan and input from the 3-year tree assessment and maintenance program.
I think so. That seems logical.
So are we saying that? When I want to plant a tree in the boulevard, that I have to come in here and get a permit,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's part of city code.
and then you have to tell me what kind of tree it is?
We haven't really gotten to that section. Yet. Can we hold this question for a minute?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at government involved.
But you've always had to get approval
But we're talking about city property.
City,
on city property.
Okay,
Yep.
city,
Except that almost every living human being considers the boulevard to be their property.
it is, yeah,
We
that's,
cut it, we take care of it, we
Well-
mow it, we plow snow off it.
the reason for that though is, we gotta regulate how trees interfere with our infrastructure.
Understand?
So that's the because again, I'll use the shade houses, we got these big oaks that are planted in the city boulevard that we removed, but that we didn't plant originally, and now they've interfered with our infrastructure, so the whole idea of it is not that we want to tell people that they can't plant in a boulevard, is that we want to make sure what they put in is not gonna interfere, so that's the whole reason for that. But you're right, because people do mow, they're responsible,
Well,
but if they didn't mow, their grass would grow.
I can hear already,
Yeah.
you know, God, I had to go down and kiss their ass to plant a tree.
Well, but they also, I mean,
And go through a month of bureaucratic shenanigans.
no offense to landscape planners, they plant for now. So, and that's another reason that we need to have some say over what's planted. Is, oh, I love the way this looks right now. Well, what about in 5 years?
Mhm.
What about in 70 years when that oak is massive and has to come down? So,
That's taken.
No, but I mean, they're both good points. So, yeah, we have to at least make sure that whatever trees in it right away is not gonna.
And then there is a whole section in here on, request by residents, so, we'll get to that in a second. Yep,
And I do have to go at 1 again, so.
okay, zippity zip here, then that list stayed the same. Molly, any comments on that list? Oh, plant trees during the dormant season, spring or fall?
Yeah.
What do we want to say on that?
I think that's fine because you can't plant them in the winter when the ground's frozen.
That's a good point, okay. And summer though is not ideal, but
Right.
it happens all the time. Okay, let's see, then recommended trees, tree species that did not change. Any comments on that one? Everybody okay with, promoting native?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
Except in the boulevard,
we love native trees
I
in the
understand.
boulevard.
Yeah,
but conifers, there's no place in the boulevard.
No,
for
no,
No.
yeah,
There was a great experiment in Petoskey. Planted conifers and all that new street,
Well, it was partly the way they were planted too. We won't get into that.
and in a matter of years, they were out in the traffic lanes, and they took them all down and replaced them.
okay, and then I was gonna put a link in there to that, right tree, right
Mhm.
place.
oh,
Yeah.
good.
Have you looked at that yet, Molly? The
Which,
spreadsheet, right tree, right place?
yes,
And any comments, or let's do that later, do it another time. Nothing changed on considerations for street tree management, these are just above and beyond things. Do you like this section? And trees on the bluff, nothing changed there.
just one, I just realized right above community engagement. That last paragraph. Trees on the buff.
Bluff, oh, the buff, like, good.
Yeah.
Wait, where is it?
The Buff
Bucks,
Stability Committee.
Buff Stability Committee.
I don't know who's on it. Maybe
Oh.
they are.
I'm thinking maybe not. I don't know.
Then I added another short section after that was in the previous vegetation management one, that's special considerations for city projects. Any vegetation management associated with a city project involving the creation, replacement, removal, addition, expansion of public infrastructure, including but not limited to streets, parking spaces, sidewalks, trails, parks, utility, and other infrastructure shall be reviewed by city council in conjunction with all other aspects of the project for normal city council process for reviewing and approving. Do you want to say city council, or could it be planning commission, or the appropriate city? This is
I
good.
think the city council is gonna approve the project and then they should, and if they want to kick it to the planning commission or tree board,
Okay.
then they can,
Yep.
but it's ultimately their decision.
Then, community engagement, so I think we talked about this last time, that, it could be good if we do like a, Parks Corner, column on the new plan whenever it gets to that point. That we could do just a little quick QR, survey. And any ideas that residents might have.
The one I'm concerned about is the second one, city could consider a stipend. I
I
don't know how.
Yeah,
that's practical
Same thing
or
with
not.
my eye, I'm like, what?
I know, I think I read it 4 times.
Well,
Okay,
maybe it could be using the wrong word. But like, what if like somebody was willing to keep a tree watered, do you want to recognize that somehow?
Well, but
My
then do we
concern is how often,
take back, you know, do they have to pay us if they overwater the tree and kill it?
we're gonna get to
How
water.
about we just take that out?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, here's your section, Bob, handling specific requests from residents. And so, I have the hardest time finding that vegetation management plan in the city website. Yes, so. Can I see yours for a minute here?
Of course.
Yeah. So, the first part, I think all is gonna stay the same. And then there's a link to the, street tree planning application, and I think there'll also be a link to whatever the vegetation management, form turns out to be. But holy cow, then the sections in the old one after that are so long. So I'm not gonna read them, they're so long. But let's just, all of us for the next meeting, go through and look in the old, or in the
In the 2019,
2019 vegetation management plan.
Look at what paragraph?
It's paragraph E and F. Super long, like, you know, like a page each. And maybe it's just all needed, but. And actually, the other one, the second one is about non-hazardous vegetation, private owner requests. And then the other one is Little Paris Bay improvement, and that's 2 pages. So to your point of, you know, jumping through hoops and,
Well, so that is, but that is for the removal of vegetation.
okay, so, but
So,
I had been thinking of this request is for either planting trees or.
but here's the
removing trees.
thing, my understanding was we were moving away from residents requesting to remove trees on city property.
Yeah, but didn't we say though that like, let's say somebody's year
Yeah.
2 into their cycle and they want to remove it. If they pay for it, we will consider it.
That's basically what we have now, so I don't know why, but that, you understand, like, why are we setting up this vegetation management plan? The whole point was to get rid
To
of.
reduce those.
Well, I
yes.
think, I thought the whole point was for the city to be complete control of it. But anyway,
Why
that's,
should I don't get it. It's gonna be view, right? They're gonna say they want it removed because of view.
right,
View.
and what we were saying with this plan is the city will take control of it, and we will,
We'll get to
we
you
will
in
trim-
3 years.
we will trim as we deem necessary for the public benefit, not for your private benefit. So this still allows people to make requests for private benefit. So I think if we're gonna get away from it, we should just get away and just allow them to have an application for planting on the,
Mhm.
So you think planting, we can allow them to request planting, but not,
yeah, because the thing is
Yeah.
with planting is, we think as a tree board, right, it's a benefit for people to plant more trees throughout the city, and we would like them to participate in planting trees, and, you know, that's great. But in this, there's clearly contention around removing trees.
well, and we could, you know, whenever we get to council with this, we can say, we'd like to do it this way for a year. We're gonna trial and see how it goes.
Yeah, the thing is with that too is, which I get, is that sometimes these requests come like, you might not get several like requests for like 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and so what we want to do is prevent the cycle that's been going on and on. I don't,
Which, what site?
the cycle of people overly trimming on the bluff for their views, and then people below the bluff coming back out and saying, you know, they're damaging it, and then vice versa, then city council gets hard and says like, we're gonna really be strict on trimming, and then the people above the bluff get mad, and it's just a cycle. We're trying to avoid that. So if we just say, hey, this is our property, we're in complete control of it, and that's what the public wanted, at least we as administration have something to lean on. We can just say, hey, this is what the policy is, and it is city controlled, and
Well, and it's hard from a former arborist point of view. You are not out of view.
yeah.
You bought a house on the bluff,
No.
great. You're not out of view.
I'm shocked.
Well, you can't sell or buy a view.
Well, that sure
Well,
will.
my view, I have a view right now, it's a bluff. Everybody has it.
Tree in your way.
Yeah.
Look around.
Take a while.
Yep,
Oh, gee.
okay, let's
Anyway, so I would just, my personal.
leave it out for now.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I think that's why we were doing this,
Yeah,
but keep the tree planting, that's a,
yeah.
Yeah.
So we won't even have a vegetation management form anymore.
there'll be no, need. We just have the street tree. planting.
Street tree plan, okay. So then the next little category is monitoring and evaluation, and there's a lot of to be done in figuring that out, but I think it would be good to have a way to track how we're doing with this policy. Do you think it's okay to leave it as it is for right now?
Yes, I'm just worried about how they're gonna track this. it's easier said than done.
Yeah,
It's
Mhm.
it's the only thing
like will a guy keep track of how many trees he worked on?
yeah, how many branches, I mean, it's, sorry, how many, like, it's, electric guys definitely won't, they're just going out there and doing what they have to do, so I don't know, I just don't know the burden, so I would have to think about that one, I mean, or the next city manager, I just don't. I'm just seeing how practical it is to keep track of all of this. For what
Yeah.
benefit too, like, is the benefit that we're
Yeah.
gonna get as big as the time invested, I
Right,
think.
what would be the benefit?
I think maybe we could do it, by areas, like this is the, we focused on these streets, this year.
Mhm.
I think that would be easier for us to keep track of and how much money we spent on that,
Mhm.
That's easier to keep
By
track of.
area, money, rather than specific work that was done.
Yeah, that would. How many hours or, yeah, I think that's easier than getting the number of trees removed.
Hours.
It would be not, it would be nice if we could completely keep track of the number of trees removed, but. I just-
Practically speaking, yeah.
I'm not sure that's.
Yeah,
Be nice to be able to give a report to council though once a year,
Yeah.
on it.
yeah, we could do our best, I just,
Mhm.
so instead of,
Maybe not number of trees. Maybe it's hours per sector, which translates to monthly.
Potentially hours spent.
Should I judge it a little bit there? Okay, budget and funding is wide open. We're gonna, so in the coming months, we'll identify all that stuff. And then, possible funding sources. Anything else in there for right now, or we just really don't know
Is
yet?
there a budget for any of this now? I mean, are you guys, as you're putting together the budget for us to approve?
yeah, we have line items for.
I know,
for
but
tree.
do you know if there's a dollar amount in it?
I can check, I think we might just carry over what we carried over from last year.
Okay.
For example, this year we planted 18 trees plus 20 trees maybe.
Okay, so you're thinking is, okay,
Yeah, so
Excellent.
we are thinking, but to cover, we'd have to really, once this plan gets approved, we have to really study what the likely financial impact of it.
Yeah.
So we don't know that yet until we get this approved by
Right.
council, so.
We'll need a new truck to go inspect all this. And
no, I can tell you right
it
now,
can
Bob,
stay at my house.
There you go.
no.
Fine.
And then a short conclusion and, that's it. Yep.
I think, Dan, if you could just make those edits and we can bring it back to the next one for approval.
Okay.
January.
And, I will get it out really early.
Thank you, Dana.
Yep, you bet.
Thank you. It's really-
Next item is the tree canopy article.
Should we hold on that until we, but maybe tentatively say that it might be on the vegetation management program where you're just not ready to do it yet? Yep,
I think that's
We-
fine.
we just had, a big article. So
Yeah. And that one was great.
that was good, I thought.
Mhm.
Okay, recap of street tree plantings, really quickly. Brad at the DPW planted, 18 trees as part of the street plan, most of them are on Lake and some on Traverse and Spring Street. So they include a variety based on our right tree, right place, so oak, maples, flowering crabs, some others, so. Got new trees in there,
That's great.
18.
And is that mostly on Upper Bluff West?
Yeah, you're talking about Lake. And Spring Street, I think Traverse Street is down here. You did it down
Oh,
here,
it's
Traverse
below
Street.
the
Yeah, but the lake and, sorry, obviously Lake, but Spring and above.
And most were west. Like if we are gonna divide the city into the 3 sections.
I would even say center, maybe
Mhm.
central, right? Spring is central, kind of,
Yeah, and the ones on Lake, I think,
Yeah.
are closer more towards the
Central.
east.
central upper.
I was just trying to figure out if we divided into,
I'd have to look,
Upper
I have to
Bluff,
look back
West,
at that.
Okay.
But they were
Um,
mostly above the block.
How about for our next meeting, our December meeting if we're gonna have one. Victor, will you be gone? Well,
I won't be here for this summer meeting. So I'll be gone.
Kyle? Yeah, but if we
already
had an agenda item of discuss what trees we would like to go in
State
State
Street.
2026, which would be
Oh,
State
yeah.
Street.
Yep.
And then we can put off the State Street discussion until then.
I will just quickly say on State Street, I walk up that hill every day and those power lines, I know they're just sort of inert, but they're low.
Do you know, though, they put in a conduit to bury them?
Okay.
So,
So whatever
just
goes
need
in
to
there's
know the
gotta be
time.
short.
yeah,
Time frame.
that's the thing, we
Don't have.
could bury those lines, but we don't know if we are and when we're going to do it, so we'd have to know. The trees that we put in, are we gonna risk putting them, some trees that can grow big if we don't know when we're gonna bury those lines, is the question,
Well, I guess, could we get as close as like in the next 5 years?
to bury the lines.
Knowing,
Oh, gosh.
I don't know what's gonna.
Well, we
depend
want
on
to
the
plant
electrical
before then and we don't want to plant and then yank because we could have put something bigger in.
I don't know if we'll know the next, I mean, with the amount of electric stuff that we have to do. Council will have to decide if that's a priority for them. I don't know if State Streets, from an electrical grid perspective, is a priority, maybe from an aesthetics
I was
perspective.
gonna say that may not be a.
well, maybe we
A
wait
high
on those
priority.
trees then, 'cause I sure think it would be a lot nicer to plant them as shade trees than like crab apples or something.
Yeah, that's.
But we can talk about it.
Yeah,
No,
I understand what you're saying.
Okay,
In the trees in the watershed. Do we
yeah, so
wanna-
this was our idea we talked about previously, that, you know, if council doesn't wanna, if it isn't ready for us to become the environmental board or whatever it would be, that we could do, environmental or tree adjacent topics. So like watershed would fall under the environment, but I actually found an article about trees in watersheds, so I think if we do wanna like give ourselves just a little bit more
Sure.
room, you know, to grow,
Mhm.
this could be a good way to do it.
Yeah.
So should we save this discussion?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a good.
Yep.
Okay, anything else anyone has?
If- Madam Chair, would it be appropriate to discuss a possibility of changing the meeting date, time, whatever?
Do you have a problem with this time?
It often conflicts with something I now have paid for tickets to at the college, which I didn't realize, which is not the end. of
Is
the
it
world,
just one
right?
time?
No, because I think it's something that's the third Friday at noon.
For the whole year?
For several months. So I don't know whether you guys have discussed it, and I'm just saying, can we think about it? Maybe discuss it next time.
Let's do it, yeah.
And Molly, do you have a preference too? Because I know that you've got it.
Before work is best for me.
So what time would that be?
I'm at work at 10. So. It's just, this is a hard time because during the winter, starting in January. I won't have anybody to cover for me, so we'll have to close.
Oh, yeah.
Because when Bob initially roped me into this, he said, oh, the meetings are 8 AM, no problem. And I think he was thinking of the DDA.
Henry, what would an early?
Yeah, but it works,
like
you're
8:30
here.
work?
It would be fine. It's not, if we have meetings, it's once a month,
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't really matter.
okay.
Do you want to change it to 8:30?
8:30 or
That good for
9?
you?
That's fine, whatever.
Well, Molly's gotta be at work at 10. So,
Well, as long as I'm there by 10:15. I'm good.
I mean, 8:30 work. Fine.
8:30?
Okay.
Once you change it, can't. Early.
I know.
Henry, I think I told you this at another company meeting someplace, but I expect you to take part in this.
Mhm.
You're a member of this committee. You can't vote, but you can express your opinion and you should feel free to jump in and out of the conversation like we do, instead of just sitting, I mean, if you're just gonna sit there.
And we should remember to encourage it.
Yeah, yeah, then please feel like you're part of all this and you have something to add. And if you don't like something, say so.
So can we change that time effective right away, Victor, or is there some magical city rule, not magical, but there's some city rule or open meetings thing or something.
Well, we need to make sure the room's available too.
Yeah, room availability. We have a regular schedule. We can change that.
I'm just,
When do you guys want it for exactly?
8:30.
8:30?
Third Friday.
Is that going forward permanently or just next Friday, next meet?
No, she needs it for the, at least the next
was-
year, she said.
I mean, I just was thinking if it makes sense to change it for all of them. I don't wanna be bugging you every other month for something, so.
Usually we set our schedule for next year in December's meeting, but we could do it now.
And we could do it at Irish Boat, but that kind of stretches it out for
There's usually nothing going on 8:30 on Friday.
you guys, yeah.
But that's, I think. Probably whoever's the city manager next city manager is gonna look at their schedule and see what works for them too, so.
Yeah, we may have to all do some juggling to
Rearranging.
accommodate Kyle.
Well, that's,
Every committee might have to.
I'll be here when you tell me to be here.
Team player.
Sometimes.
So what do you suggest we do, given everything?
we
Oh,
just do
something
something
there.
for next month.
Yeah, we can do something for next month.
The 19th is a scheduled meeting and you won't be here.
I won't be,
So we've got to either schedule it for a different date in December.
Who else
Yeah,
might
He's
not
gonna be
be
gone,
here?
he's gonna be gone, I think we just have to, recognize that at some point.
Yeah.
We
Who
can't-
else might
we
not be
can't-
here next month because of Christmas? It's 4 days before Christmas.
I'll be here.
Oh, it's okay, I'll be here.
Okay.
8:30, if you wanna try 8:30.
Okay, so we'll do 8:30 just for
On the
December
19th.
19th.
And then, agenda, we'll look at the redone version of the vegetation management plan and,
Yeah. And then the,
watersheds
Mhm.
and,
and then we'll
Uh,
postpone the State Street. Because we don't know what's gonna go on there.
we can talk about it. If we can, maybe other people feel differently about the size of tree.
All right? Meeting's adjourned.